Hey everybody, how are you doing? Welcome to another edition of my boxing predictions. This is number 186, I believe. Yeah, alright. Well, the next weekend that's coming up, we got a major fight at light heavyweight. Yes, but before we get to that, I just want to start first with a couple of other fights that are also quite interesting and important. First of all, we got a lady fight, Chantel Cameron versus Jessica McCaskill. I'm really fond of Chantel Cameron, both as a fighter and as a person. And she's not really that much of a puncher usually, not against higher level opponents, but she's got really good skills. She is tough. She brings it. Yeah, so I was really impressed with her fight against Mary McGee actually almost exactly a year ago. Yeah, and then she also beat Victoria Noelia Bustos. And she is fighting Jessica McCaskill, who was the only person to beat Cecilia Brækhus and twice also. Yeah, so actually she's moving down. She's a welterweight, McCaskill, and she's moving down for this fight, which is as light welterweight. So McCaskill, or Caskilla, as she likes to be known, she's already 38, and yeah, she's at the end of at her last leg, as they call it. While Cameron is 31, so she has got a significant advantage in age. And also inches in height. So that's that's a pretty it doesn't have to mean anything necessarily, but I think moving also down in weight will not be that good or an advantage for McCaskill, definitely because how it is. You have to drop down and you get weakened and very often weight drain and all that. Then you put on too many kilos the last 24 hours before a fight, and yeah, you know, it's not very good really for the body usually, but it's not such a big step down, in weight anyway. But I think Chantel Cameron has a good chance, to win. This is on neutral ground also in Abu Dhabi. So, and all the major titles are on the line because Cameron already held or holds IBF and WBC. And then also they put up the IBO, WBA, and WBO titles as well on the line. So, I expect this to be a really good, gritty, tough fight for both women. But, Cameron will probably emerge as the winner, simply because she is fighting at her best, best weight, her natural weight. And she's, the younger, fresher of the two. Even though McCaskill hasn't had Actually, she's had fewer fights because she started later in life. But anyway, she's already lost to Katie Taylor and Katonia Fisher, while uh, while Chantel Cameron has no losses. She's 16-0 with 8 knockouts, and McCaskill is 12-2 with 5 knockouts. So she's not a puncher either. Well, anyway, to be fair, very few women are in boxing are really can be called punchers. Alicia Baumgartner, and Savannah Marshall. So they are, one of the few, two of very few. So I expect, as I said, close fight, but I think Chantel should take it, because this is her time simply, and she's fighting at her own best weight class. So she she wins on points, I think. And then next we have a fight for the vacant IBF super featherweight title, and this is very interesting. We got Shavkat John Rakhimov from Tajikistan fighting against Zelfa Barrett, the English Manchester-born bred guy, Brown Flash. She's 28 and 1, Barrett, and his only loss came in 2018 against Ronnie Clark in a close fight. And Rakim was 16 0 and 1, and that one draw came actually in his only, major title fight so far against Joseph Diaz last year, which was for the IBF, the same title, as they are fighting for now. Yes. I don't know, Shafkat John is Rakim to call him. That's easier. He's more of a puncher than Barrett, definitely, I would say. Even though Barrett has his share of knockout wins, but not such a high percentage as Rakhimov. Yeah, even though to be fair to Barrett, he has had more fights than Rakhimov, but yeah. But Rakhimov has already fought some guys that were like Robinson Castellanos, Malcolm Klassen. He stopped them both. So yeah, he was unlucky to draw against Diaz because had he won, he would have gotten the title while Diaz wouldn't have. So because he missed the weight. All right, so to make this short and sweet, let's see. Actually, Rakhimov has 1.5 inch height advantage. He's 28 and Barrett is 29. All right. I think Rakhimov is looks to me on paper like the more formidable, more dangerous fighter of these two. Simply, and those guys from Central Asia, they, their boxers really tend to be very tough and dangerous, for anybody, So they are really hard to beat usually. So since this is on neutral ground, it's not in UK. Uh, this should be judged fairly, of course. I hope. Well, so I think probably Rakim. I favor him to win. Yeah, I think so. I don't know if you can stop Zelfa Barrett, but probably he can. But I wouldn't really go for that, as my prediction. I think he'll most likely go the distance, yeah. But I think Rakim will win. It will be a close fight too, most likely, yeah. Barrett, has had a few good wins himself, He beat Kiko Martinez, actually. Wow. That's right, at featherweight. So actually, he hasn't really fought that much. Well, that was actually above featherweight. Yeah, alright. Forget that. So I think Hirakimo simply is, on paper, looks like the more, formidable fighter and a bigger puncher. So, it doesn't have to mean necessarily that he's a better boxer, but we will see anyway. But he has fought, a guy like Jojo Diaz, who is really one of the best. Despite what happened to him now in the last weekend, he is, really top, like elite level fighter, and To beat Kiko Martinez, it's a good victory, but he is no longer, really that great. So it doesn't really say that much. Yeah, alright. So I think Rakim wins. I can also see a stoppage, yeah. Like in maybe, I don't know, 8 or 9 rounds, something like that. Alright, then we finally go to the main fight, Dimitri Bivol versus Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez. So this is Bivol's ninth defense as the WBA light heavyweight champ. He's 20-0 while Gilberto Ramirez is 44-0. Wow. Yeah. Let's take Ramirez first. He's the taller guy by 2.5 inches and just the bigger guy in general. Also when it comes to the build and muscles and all that. But since he stepped up to light heavyweight, he's won every fight by knockout. He's Tommy Carpensy, Alfonso Lopez, Sullivan Barrera, Unieski Gonzalez, and Dominic Bussell. So 5 fights so far and all won by knockout. But here he will be fighting a totally different kind of beast. So he's 31, Zurdo, and Bivol is also 31. Alright. Bivol is shorter by about 2.5 inches. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Of course, he's coming off the biggest victory in his career after beating Saul Canelo Alvarez in May. And he really shot him out. That those scorecards were just so crap, man. It sickens me. I don't think Canelo won more than 2 rounds in that fight. Seriously, he was terrible. He was just outboxed. He was outclassed simply. 2 or 3 at best. And these idiots gave him 5 rounds. All of them, 5 rounds. This is to the judges, assholes. Fuck you. So anyway, Bill is simply the best. Even Beterbiev is not. I wouldn't really. To put it this way, I wouldn't favor Beterbiev to beat Bill right now, simply because Bill is so good, so damn good, moving and boxing and counter punching, 1-2, 1-2, all that. He's just so hard to land something against something solid. And I will, if they fight, I think Beterbiev will have really, problems getting past his guard and his defense. So, he is so far fought guys that are like very, just came forward and stuff like that, or didn't have much of a defense. Stupid fighters. And Zurdo, you might say the same way, about him, at least in light heavyweight. He hasn't fought really any kind of true technicians. Yeah. Salomon Barrero is all right, but he's not a Bivol either, so not on his level. So what else can you expect, really? It's not like Ramirez really hits that hard. He can put Bivol out with one punch or just a few. I don't think so. He will have to work really hard in order to get some kind of. He can get a crooked decision, I think, against Bivol, but a really true, decision. I don't think so. Really. He's not that good. And now he's gotten so big, he's kind of slow. Also, he's just gonna be too slow for Bivol, I think. despite his height advantage and all that. So simply, to put it simply, Viola, I think, box his ears off. Pretty much like he did against Alvarez, Maybe a little closer fight than that one, maybe, but it's not, maybe not. So yeah, that would be all. I think Viola, as I said, will win this fight, and I would be surprised if anything else happens. Especially if he should get like knocked out or something. But you never know, of course. You never know. It's boxing, right? Anything can happen. So that's why it's kind of ungrateful to do these predictions, but I still, enjoy doing it. All right, that was all for this time. Bye bye. See you.